Welcome to another Epic Ethics story, part of the Daniels Fund Ethics Initiative Elementary School program. As you listen to the story, consider the 4 awesome questions, inspired by the Rotary 4-way test. Is it true? Is it fair? Will it build friendships and community? Will it be helpful to those involved? Stay with us after the story for some thought-provoking discussion questions. And now, the Calabash of Poi, a Hawaiian folktale. One of the disguises which Pele, the goddess of fire, was fond of assuming was that of an aged hag. In fact, it was hardly a disguise at all, for Pele was as old as the hills themselves. Besides, her quick temper and natural jealousy had furrowed her face with deep, hard lines, which a bitter disposition imprints upon a face, quite irrespective of its age. On this day, Pele was intent upon a secret mission, and taking a gnarled branch from the koa tree for a cane, she trudged at a rather brisk pace down the mountainside. Only on approaching 2 Hawaiian houses of varying pretensions did she slacken her speed and finally pause at the outer palisade of the first. It was a sizable house, or hale, as Hawaiian houses go, perhaps 50 feet long, with its side thatched with tea leaves, a sign of rank, its only window a small aperture about a foot square, looked out on a carefully planted taro patch, while rows of tasseled coconut palms and fruit-laden banana plants made a pretty background to the setting. Pele paused for a moment to make a mental summary of the growing crop, and then, grasping her cane, hobbled to the threshold. "Aloha," she said to the small group of people sitting within the doorway. "Aloha," was the reply in a not over-cordial tone of voice. Pele waited. Apparently there was to be no invitation to enter or to refresh herself. "I have walked many miles," she said finally, assuming a small and feeble voice. "I am very hungry. Perhaps you have as much as a calabash of poi for me." "We are very sorry, but we have no poi," said the Hawaiian chief, for such was the master of the house. "Besides, our evening meal is pau." Then perhaps a small piece of salted fish?" "No, nor fish," was the short rejoinder. "Then at least some ripe ohelo berries, for I am parched with thirst." "Our berries are green, as you can see for yourself, providing your eyes are not too dimmed by age." Pele's eyes were far from dim. She suppressed with an effort the flashes of fire that ordinarily blazed in their black depths at a moment's provocation, and bowing low, made her way in silence to the gate. Passing a few steps further down the hard road, she entered a smaller and less thrifty garden and paused on the threshold of a small hut. The work of the day, as well as the evening meal, was over, and a family of bronzed-skinned boys and girls played about the man and woman who sat watching in rapt attention at the last golden rays of sun sinking in a riot of color behind the gentle slopes of Mauna Loa. "Ah, I see your evening meal is past," sighed Pele. "I am sorry, for I am both tired and hungry, and had hoped for a little refreshment after a day's walk down the steep mountain." "Neither fish nor awa have we," promptly said the poor fisherman, "but to such as we have you are most welcome." Almost before he had concluded these few words, his wife had risen, motioned Pele to a place on the mat and set before her a large calabash pot of poi. Pele did not wait for a further invitation, but fell to eating with much relish. Dipping her forefingers in the calabash, she raised it dripping with poi, waved her finger dexterously in the air, wrapping the mucilaginous poi about it and placing it in her mouth. She seemed to finish the entire contents in no time, and looking up, remarked, "I'm still hungry. Would it be too much to ask for another calabash?" Again the woman arose and placed before her a second calabash of poi, not perhaps as large as the first, but filled to the brim. Again Pele emptied the calabash with great relish. Wishing to test the extent of their patience and generosity, she sighed as she finished the last mouthful, calling attention to the empty calabash in her lap. This time, a third calabash, smaller than the second, but quite full, was placed before her. Pele finished half of the third calabash, arose heavily to her feet, and pausing before the chief, she uttered these words, "When your neighbor plants taro, it shall wither upon its stem. His bananas shall hang as green fingers upon the stalk, and the coconuts shall fall upon his favorite pig. When you plant taro at night, you may pull it in the morning. Your cane shall mature overnight, and your bananas ripen in one day's sunshine. You may have as many crops as there are days in the year." Saying these words, Pele trudged out of the gate and was seen to disappear toward Hale Mau Mau in a cloud of flame. When the astonished fisherman passed beyond the threshold of his hut the following morning, yellow bananas hung on the new plants. The full-grown taro stood ready to be pulled, and the cane cuttings reached to the eaves of his house. Looking across at his rich and powerful neighbor, he saw that indeed the curse of Pele had already descended upon him. In place of the rich man's prosperous acres stood the sun-parched remnants of but yesterday's proud crop. The end. Discussion questions. Why do you think Pele wanted to test the generosity of the two village households? What was fair or unfair in the story? Why do you think the villagers at the first house did not share with Pele? Can you think of a time you were treated with stinginess like Pele was at the first house? When have you felt the type of generosity that the second villagers showed to Pele? When someone treats us without generosity, what can we do about it? Who is responsible for how we feel? This has been an Epic Ethics recording, generously sponsored by the Daniels Fund Ethics Initiative. We'd also like to thank Colorado Rotary District 5450 for your service above self and support of peaceful schools. For more information about the Epic Ethics program, or to bring this program to your elementary school, contact us at www.epicethics.org.